This is my section on That's the Spirit, where I have guests, and I have a wonderful guest who's been coming on pretty regularly lately, and he's up to something. So, I love it when somebody has a mission and they're out there doing it. So I'd like to welcome back John Shortell, a man of clear direction, who has spent over 35 years of his life as a spiritual educator and consultant. And today we're going to talk about some topics that John has dear to his heart. So welcome, John.
Thanks, Louise. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, it's great. We have to get used to doing this more.
Yeah, I like the phrase you use there, he's up to something.
Yeah, so we're on 98.5 Apple FM in Bacchus Marsh, reaching worldwide, actually. It's wonderful these days. You can stream everything, so people can listen as they want. So, John, we've had a lot of discussions about being a soul in a body, about having intuition, about having spiritual help. What would you like to talk about today?
Well, I thought what might be appropriate is the healing of our past and how it is that people end up in a situation where they gather around people and they start acting a certain way and not necessarily the way that they want to act in that situation. And so we see it happening at Christmas and Easter and things like that when we get together with family, maybe only a couple of times a year, and we start behaving like we did when we're 10 years old instead of like we are now at 50 or whatever we are. And why does that happen? And what can we do about it so we can actually interact with the people instead of bouncing backwards and forwards in a way that's not productive for the event? So I thought we'd talk.
Yes. It's a very timely thing in December and January, especially. There's such a buildup of pressure to behave in a certain way and eat certain food and do everything the way you're supposed to. Tradition just rules, right?
This time of year it does.
That's right. And so I want to have more fun in my life. And I get what you're saying will help me have more fun. I really enjoy life deeply.
Yep.
Tell me more.
Okay, so in the past we've had an experience, and that experience may not be complete for us. So within the experience, something may have happened where we got hurt or someone gets some kind of trauma associated with it. And sometimes it doesn't have to be a massive trauma. It can just be something where we feel let down or we feel betrayed or something like that. And so what happens is when that's not healed and it's not complete, tucked up in bed and wrapped up nicely, then what happens is when we're living in the now and that similar situation comes up, that thing comes back to us. Some people call it triggers. We get triggered. Some people, like in what we do, we call it a concept, a way of thinking, something that hasn't been healed. So when we do get triggered like that, then we start acting in the now like we did back in that experience. So by healing the past and releasing that experience, we can actually be present in the now and just wait. It's like when you're having a conversation with someone and they're not listening, they're just waiting to speak. And and you can see it happening with people, and that's because they're preparing themselves. They want to be in control of the situation because there's something from the past that's not healed. But when we've healed the stuff from our past, whatever they are or however minute they are, then what happens is we can actually be fully present. Let me use an example of what I'm talking about here. I've married for 30 years, and in the course of that 30 years, my partner would leave tea bags around the house. They'd fall off the saucer, and they'd be sitting there on the tea table or the coffee table or the kitchen bench or whatever. And for a good 20-something years, it just upset me. And I was always on about picking up the tea bags. So one day in the end, I thought I better apply what I'm teaching people in my own program here, apply it to myself. And I thought, okay, so what am I getting triggered about? Like what's actually really going on for me? And I thought, okay, so it must be something that I do myself that I'm not looking at, because the whole world's a mirror for us, right? That's how it works. So I thought, okay, so how do I do that? How do I do something like what my wife did with the tea bags? And it only took a couple of days, and I'm walking in from the outside and I took my shoes off and I've left them there in quite a key area of the kitchen dining area where everyone travels. And then I turned around and walked backwards and I tripped over my own shoes. And I thought, what the hell am I doing there for? And then I just heard his voice in my head, which we talked about the other day about the spiritual guides. And they said, so you're leaving your shoes lying around. Does that remind you of something? Oh, tea bags. And I thought, wow, it's that simple. So I said, okay, so from now on, I'm never going to leave myself open like that, my energy loose. I'm going to tidy up my energy as I move through the day. So everything started going back in its right place. I made sure that I was tidied up when I left the room. I didn't leave the room with plates on the bench or anything like that. I just made sure I was compact with my own energy. Now, here's what's really interesting, Louise. From that moment onwards, from that commitment, I've never left anything lying around, and the tea bags never bothered me again. To this day, even though we're separated, to this day, she still leaves tea bags lying around. And I just pick them up and I pop them in the bin. I go over, visit or whatever, see my daughter, see my ex-partner, and I've just picked the tea bags up and popped them in the bin. And it doesn't bother me at all. Never mention it again, ever. And she was oblivious to it even changing, because it's never about her. It's never about her. It was always about me. And so what I'm going to be doing in the program that I've been talking about with this tour is helping people understand the simplicity of that. You know, we're always looking outside ourselves for answers, or we're looking outside ourselves for direction, or we're looking outside of ourselves like it's someone else's fault. That's because we're feeling disempowered. And feeling disempowered is not the way to go. How do you get yourself feeling empowered? Well, we talk about that in the program, and we show people how simple that is to empower themselves, to look after themselves, and that way they can enjoy inner peace all the time. It doesn't have to be a fleeting thing or something that's elusive that they can't grasp, you know, which a lot of people talk about that with the feeling of one with all things. And it doesn't have to be like that. It can be simple. We experience it all the time. And I have people say that to me. Wow, John, you really live a charmed existence. And I look at them and I go, well, yeah, I do. I work hard at it. Not that hard work's a struggle. Don't get me wrong there. I work diligently and militantly, and I just have certain values and things that I live by now. And those values work for me. They might not work for other people. I'm not saying they do, but they work for me. So we help people find what works for them.
Right. Okay. Well, I think that's a great introduction to the whole topic. I really have to chuckle because, yeah, what bothers me could be something that I haven't looked at it myself. I think that's a great clue. So if people want to contact you, how are they going to do that?
The best way is through my website, which is enjoyinnerpeace.com.au. And if they want to register for an event or see what I'm doing currently, go to enjoyinnerpeace.com.au/events. And that way you'll always be able to keep up to date with where I am and what I'm doing. If I'm doing something in your area, you can kind of tune in or come along or be involved.
Wonderful, because you are a man on a mission, so it's good to know that we can track you down.
I'm up to something.
Well, thank you so much for coming back today to Apple FM and being on That's the Spirit. And I'll wish you very well, and we'll have you back again because it's just fascinating to hear all the different things that you talk about. Thanks so much, John.
Thank you very much, Louise.